tell them why I'm behind and what my plan is, because I don't have a good plan.
A lot of homeowners are very weary when they get phone calls from the lender or from somebody representing the lender who's calling about, they're falling behind on their mortgage. The absolute worst thing to do is to ignore those phone calls.
For Marta Zelaya, reaching out to her bank and a local counselor saved her from losing her home. But it took persistence.
I call different companies. They say, no, it's nothing can do, just sell the house for short sale, blah, blah, blah. I say, no, I no give up.
Marta very much wanted to keep her home, but she found herself falling further and further behind. Through her bank, Marta connected with a local housing counselor. A few days later, sitting in the car with her husband, her cell phone rang.
It was a miracle. I was crossing my fingers, I was praying. My husband on the side, he was sitting down in the car. He was happy that time too, that we got that phone call back saying, yes, you can still stay in the house.
The most important thing for borrowers to do if they're in trouble or they think they're going to be in trouble is to call their lender. That interaction with the lender, and if need be, engagement with a counselor, is critical, because no actions can be taken to get the borrower to stay in that house if there isn't a dialogue.
The phone number for your lender can be found on the monthly mortgage bill. Now, it's important to make this call, but you may find that many lenders are just overwhelmed with the volume of calls from borrowers who need their help. Fortunately, there's a second option where homeowners can get answers and peace of mind.
What we have found is that many individuals, many families, like to turn to the services of a nonprofit counseling service provider who can work through their financial situation, help get their arms around that particular situation, figure out what kinds of payments that family or individual really can afford long term, and then work out a solution that can be taken on behalf of that borrower to the servicer.
When we called our lender up and they said they're going to send off a foreclosure letter, that's when we knew we was in trouble. We really needed help, and we needed it fast.
Melvin and Leslie have a big mortgage, and the budget got interrupted by an unnecessary expense and a loss of income to combine. And they just, once you fall behind, it's a big payment each month. It's hard to catch up.
Do you want potato or do you want regular bread?
You give me regular bread.
They realized that they had an issue, and they got to me as soon as they were made aware that we existed. They called the hotline, the state's hotline. They communicated with us. We worked on a budget, and we communicated with their servicer and developed a repayment plan and got their loan modified, and now they're back on track.
Housing counselors are available free of charge in nearly every community across the country, or from the national toll-free hotline established by the Homeownership Preservation Foundation.
It's a telephone number that if I, as a troubled borrower, call that number any time of the day or night, any weekday, weekend, Christmas Day, anytime, there will be a trained, qualified counselor on the other end of that phone line ready to help. And it is a service that is free to homeowners. It's also a service that is on demand, offered on demand in both English and Spanish.
After working with her bank to renegotiate her 2 mortgages, Marquita was still at risk of foreclosure. One night, on the advice of one of her friends, she made a phone call that changed everything.
I called the Hope hotline one night, and the very next day, I received an email. The email let me know that someone from Hope would be getting in contact with me. I was really taken when a supervisor contacted me, and she said, I'm going to get in touch with your mortgage company and let you know what's going on.
In less than 2 weeks, between phone calls and emails, the counselor, the bank, and Marquita arrived at a very workable solution.
You're talking about literally a lifeline. Hope is a lifeline. All you have to do is do what they say. They will get you through anything.
Whether they're manning phones or meeting homeowners face-to-face, housing counselors and lenders are spreading the word. Foreclosure is not inevitable.
What we like to say to people is, if you dream like you're going to be late on your mortgage, wake up and call us. Because the earlier that we get to you, the more options we have available.
We can't promise the best outcome for everybody, but what we can promise is that if you do nothing, the worst will happen, and that's what we don't want to have happen. So we want to make sure that people understand there is hope. There is hope available, there is help available, but it does take everybody who needs it to reach out and do the right thing, and all you have to do is pick up the phone and call.
For some people, no amount of renegotiating will help. These folks just simply can't afford to stay in their homes.
I've been in touch with the Hope hotline people to see what they can do to help me with the foreclosure, or not even a foreclosure, just to give the house back to the mortgage company so that neither party is hurt.
If you simply walk away from your home without an agreement with your lender, you could face serious damage to your credit and much, much more.
When you just walk away from a mortgage that you feel there's no way you can climb out of the delinquency, how much you have missed in the payments, you are incurring greater personal liability and also greater damage to your own credit than if you stayed in the house and you try to work something out with the mortgage company.
If I have to live apartment life for a while, that's fine for me. I'll just bank that money for now. That way I've got something to fall back on. I'm learning from my mistakes.
Homeowners looking for relief through counseling need to know that help is available free of charge. If someone asks you for money up front, you might be dealing with a scam.
Don't call any numbers that are on telephone poles that say need help now, fast cash. Don't call any of those numbers that usually appear at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning on cable TV. You know, really look for reputable people, and ideally a nonprofit housing counseling agency that is really in your community and is looking and specializes in helping families who are facing problems with their mortgages.
You don't have to live in a situation of fear and intimidation and shame, not knowing where to turn. There are people available that you can talk to, that you can trust, that will do everything they can to work out your situation, but you can't wait. You can't stay stuck in fear. You've got to take action and call and reach out and ask for help.
And I tell a lot of people, don't leave the house. Don't give up. Fight for the house.
You shouldn't be ashamed to try to save your home, no matter what you do, because you got to provide. When you got youngins, you don't have the option. You got to have a roof over their head. So for me, there was no option. I had to get help, or either that or be homeless.
In your darkest hour, you can reach out and make a difference in whether or not you can stay in that home and preserve that asset, that dream for you and your family.